Over the past few videos, you have seen how to create simple Bash shell scripts that use conditionals and loops. In this video, we will combine all of those elements into a few more advanced scripts. I will also introduce some miscellaneous items you can use in your scripts to make them more useful. Remember, both of these scripts are available for download with all the other files for this course. The first script we will look at processes and displays information about its command line arguments. The script uses a number of variables that are built into the Bash shell. Let's run it and then look at the output along with the script. This is the script name, and these are the command line arguments. The arguments to a command in Linux are numbered and stored in variables. The first argument, number 0, is the name of the program, or in this case, the script that is executed. This is good to have so a program can print usage information detailing how to run the command, even if you rename the executable file. The name is stored in variable 0. The number of arguments on the command line is stored in the variable $pound. All of the command line arguments are stored in the variable $@ as separate strings. Here, we use a for loop to process each individual argument. Notice that the name of the script, argument 0, isn't displayed on the left. Although it technically is a command line argument, Bash keeps it separate from the more traditional command line arguments, starting with $1. Bash also stores all the command line arguments as a single string in the variable $**. Lastly, if you ever need to access a command line argument with 2 or more digits, you need to put curly braces around it. Otherwise, Bash will only use the first digit, as in the case here. Most of the more complex scripts I have written in the past make extensive use of command line arguments. As you write more complex scripts, you will use command line arguments more and more. Another technique you will use as you create more complex scripts is capturing the output of commands for processing. The second script we will discuss creates a random password using a process made popular by an XKCD comic. This creates a password by simply connecting a random number of words together. Note that there are probably better ways to write this script. Think of this script as a rough draft. Its purpose is to execute correctly and provide an example of what can be done. Do not take it as an example of the best way to implement it. Also, the script contains techniques not discussed in previous videos. Don't worry about knowing each detail. You will often encounter code in shell scripts that you probably couldn't write, but you should be able to figure out. Use this script as practice for learning how to do this. This script generates a password by combining the specified number of words. To add more complexity to the password, each word is capitalized and separated by a separator character provided as a command line argument. Let's run the script and then look at the output along with the script. I will run it a few more times so you can see that it is indeed random. Let's look at the script. The first command line argument is the number of words used to build the password. The second command line argument is the separator to use between the words. We start with a blank password, so the variable exists outside of the for loop. This is because all variables are local to the code block in which they're created. Next, we use the word count utility wc to get the total number of lines in our word list. Since the command wc-l generates text we don't want, we use awk to get just the number of lines, which is the first column. If you remember from a previous video, putting the command in backticks tells bash to execute the line, then evaluate the rest of the statement. In this case, we put the number of lines in the word list file in the variable total word count. Since we are building the password using a specific number of words from the word list, we will use a for loop to find each word for the password. To randomly select a word for the password, I chose to use a random line from the file. To ensure the random number of the line is cryptographically secure, I'm going to use OpenSSL to generate the random number. However, it generates the random number in hex, so we need to convert it to decimal notation. The $sign with the 2 parentheses notation tells bash to evaluate the expression using arithmetic. The number 16 in pound tells bash to convert it from hex to decimal. Once we have the random number in decimal, we use it to select a random line in the file. Since the number could be larger than the number of lines in the file, we use the modulus operator, or the percent. This essentially calculates the remainder of dividing our random number by the total number of lines in the word list. We then use awk to print out the word on the line corresponding to the random number we generated. The -v option allows us to create a variable for the awk expression, idx, with the value of the random line number. We then use an awk expression to test to see if a line matches that, and if so, print out the word. Once we have the word, we can capitalize it using the caret in an echo statement. If the word isn't the first word in the password, we add the password, including the separator. If it is the first word, meaning the password has no length, we just add the word. Once we are done with the loop, we echo the password to the console, which is what we saw over here. There are multiple opportunities to improve this script, but hopefully this gives you an idea of how a more complex shell script can be written. Using scripts to automate common tasks is becoming increasingly necessary as the tasks we want to complete become more and more complex. I encourage you to learn as much as you can about shell scripting, as it can save you quite a bit of time and effort.